You called down the thunder, well now you got it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the law's coming! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing the most decorated program in the history of sports, the Oklahoma State Cowboys wrestling program. I'm your host, Lee Cothran, joined as always by my co-host here, Daton Fix, and today we've got Hardell Moore, the man on the mic for the Big 12 tournament again this season, who's going to be helping us work through these brackets and the Pokes draw for the conference championships. So, Hardell, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. I see you and Daton out here doing this thing. You got D-Fix out there getting all on the social media stuff, man. It's fun, man. So I appreciate being a part of it.
For sure. Well, I mean, heck, I as I told you when we were setting this up, the less I talk, the better. So if I can get Daton and Nick and you and whoever, Isaac Olenek, whoever else I can get on here talking wrestling, I think it's better for everybody. So if I can just be a conduit to getting the fans more engaged is my
no doubt.
So yeah, I mean, great stuff. You guys both obviously have a lot of experience wrestling in conference championships and tournaments. Daton, you're a five-time Big 12 champ. Hardell, you won the Big 8 a couple times there.
Yeah, let's make sure we emphasize like these brackets that Daton and these guys are going through. I wasn't gonna say it's the grind. We didn't have these numbers. We wrestled 2 matches. We had a semifinals and a finals, and that was it.
Yeah, well, it's still at that time though. The Big 8 was a real beast. So
yeah, it was tough.
It's no slouch in either of those two matches. That's probably semifinals and finals type of matchups in the national tournament, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, setting your mindsets, getting prepared for this weekend. I know it traveled around a lot for you, Hardell, but Daton going to Tulsa. I know you said you're always excited to get up there, but just how do you prepare? How do you get yourself ready to go win a championship?
It's just an exciting time. Postseason. It's it's whenever all the eyes are on on the postseason. A lot of the regular season matches, not every wrestling fan follows, but it gets down to the postseason. Everybody's going to be tuning in, and it's just time to put in all the work you work so hard all year for the postseason, and it's just why not go out there and have fun, put on a show, and just let it all fly. That was kind of my mindset every time going into Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, and I can echo that, right? Like I said, ours was the Big 8, 5 teams, but, I still remember my senior year, I had to wrestle Byron Tucker and Timor Terry. I was 3, Timor was 1, and Byron was 4 or 5. So, it's awesome that we have more teams in the Big 12, obviously more allocations to get to the NCAA tournament. And Tulsa does a great job with this event. And I'm fortunate enough to sit there front row and watch these guys like Daton back in the day go in there and scrap and wrestle and get a good hard 2 to 3 matches, prepare them for that next step at NCAAs.
Well, kicking off the action, we'll just go weight by weight in the brackets, and Troy Spratley is definitely going to get a big taste of that. He did not get the easiest draw, if there is one, at 125 pounds this season. Drew the 4 seed, and his path to the semifinals and then the finals is very, very difficult. He's got an All-American and a national champion in his way to the Big 12 finals.
Yeah, and he doesn't have, I wouldn't say the easiest first round match either. Gage Walker, we talked about it earlier in the year, but he's a tough kid. He's a true freshman, but he's lost 9 times. But I don't think, and in many of those 9 matches, he's been blown out. I think in the duel, that's probably the worst he's been beat. He got beat pretty bad in the duel by Spratley, but I wouldn't be overlooking Gage Walker at all. And Troy knows that. But he has a good opportunity in the second round to knock off somebody that beat him in the blood round last year. He's definitely gonna remember, that's the guy who kept him off the podium last year. So I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that match.
Yep, I agree with that. Right, and I don't think Troy's upset by this draw. I mean, there's a lot of familiarities per what Daton was talking about, whether it's Gage, Tanner, you got Figs up top, you got Strickenberger and Poulin. I think, to my knowledge, these other guys are in here. I know he's wrestled some, but I don't know if him and Poulin have ever they wrestled. Did they wrestle last year? I'm not for sure. So,
no,
but this just shows you the umph of the Big 12s, right? You got Figs hitting his stride like he did, last year. And once again, hey, don't sleep on Tarek. I know we haven't seen a lot of him this season, so he may be someone to keep an eye on. And obviously, he gets past that first round. It's him and Figs in the quarters as well. But there's Spratley's definitely familiar with these guys. And to Dayton's point, him and Jordan wrestled in the blood round. I think it was Tanner beat him at Vegas. He beat Tanner in the duel, and then Tanner beat him in the blood round last year, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then down on the bottom, you got Strickenberger that started at 25, went to 33, came back down to 25, and has been having a heck of a season. I think ever since he's been back down, the only one that has beat him is Figs, if I'm not mistaken. And then Poulin down there at 18-1. So, it's tough, and not leaving out any of these other guys in here. So this Big 12 at 125 is it's a barn burner.
Yeah, for sure. One thing about Strickenberger, I think it benefits him that he gets first round bye. He's a guy that has a tendency to not wrestle very well off the scale. So it definitely benefits him to get that first round bye. He'll have probably another hour and a half till he wrestles that first match of the morning. So I would expect him to feel a lot better than he normally does off the scale.
Yeah. And it's even cool to see just in this bracket alone where these guys are ranked nationally at 125 just in this bracket alone. I mean, there's quite a few of them. And I know they would Tarek would definitely be in the top, let's say 15, if not higher, if he wrestled more this season, but unfortunately hadn't. But, the dude is still dangerous because I know him and Spratt had a barn burner, I think, in the semis last year, if I'm not mistaken. So they can scrap, man. And, that's why you got to take every match one by one and try to keep it rolling for these guys.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's something we didn't touch on there. Gage Walker kind of feeling the same way you felt when you were wrestling in Tulsa. It's a homecoming for him. You get to go wrestle in front of your home crowd, Bixby guy. That's a big deal. That going to Stillwater is one thing, but get a chance to go in front of your friends and family. I'm sure a lot of folks will be there because they're proud of him. I mean, heck, he's starting as a true freshman there at Bixby or at Missouri, which is a pretty big deal. So, I mean, that's he's going to be up for that one for sure. So, no one to overlook. No rest for the weary there at 125 pounds, for sure. So gonna be a great one. Definitely a great weight to look forward to. Moving into 133 pounds, Reese Whitcraft also picked up a 4 seed. And similar deal. It's just not an easy path to the finals for Reese here. I mean, if there even exists an easy path to the finals, I guess, in the whole tournament. But he'll get that first round bye and get the winner of Kyle Berwick, who's the 5 seed from North Dakota State, and Tommy Maddox of West Virginia in the quarterfinals. So pretty interesting opportunities against both of those guys. If he's able to advance past that one, he'll get Evan Frost or Stockton O'Brien of Wyoming, Gavin Caparella of Air Force, or Cade Moore in the semifinals. Most likely Evan Frost. He's been wrestling extremely well out of Iowa State up there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Reese wrestle again. It's been, we haven't seen a whole lot of him this back half of the season, but he's just so exciting to watch. And he's a gamer, and I feel like he's gonna show up, for the Big 12 tournament. Another kid who's going back to his hometown from Broken Arrow, just down the road. So it's gonna be exciting for him. It's his last year, so this is his last chance to accomplish some goals that he set. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah. Actually, I was playing golf in Stillwater on Sunday and saw his dad and his mom in Subway after we stopped to get something to eat. So yeah, I've always been a big fan of Reese ever since the high school days from Coweta to Broken Arrow as well. And kind of to your point there, Lee, Evan's been wrestling lights out. Him and Reese had a good one back and forth, 4-4 at one point in time. And the next thing you know, Frost got that wrist and bam, 8-4, just like that.
Mhm.
You got Farber down here from Northern Iowa, and then my man down here from Northern Colorado, which came from Nebraska. Suriano came on my radar last year at the Big 12s. That was my first time to see him live wrestling and found out that he was a transfer from Nebraska. So, like you said, it's going to start off quick, fast, and in a hurry, whether it's Maddox or Berwick from North Dakota State. And then you're trying to get, head up with Frost again, and secure your spot to nationals for a lot of these guys. But yeah, I'm with Daton. Reese's style is always exciting. He's never out of a match. I mean, the Buzakis match in Vegas should kind of tell you something about that, right? That battles all the way back. And when you're wrestling guys like that, man, you got to wrestle whistle to whistle, because one simple throw, 3 and 4 in a fall, it's a wrap.
Yeah, you really saw that come out in the Little Rock match where Nasir Bailey had to respect Reese. That whole, he got up big, right? And but towards the end of the match, or as you started getting into it, you could tell that Bailey really knew that Reese was a move away from getting right back into it, and he really respected the positioning in that match and was able to, he kept his elbows in. He just stuck to the fundamentals there. He didn't do anything crazy to try to get a tech or anything like that. He knew. So it speaks to what Reese Whitcraft is, which is extremely dangerous. Dom Serrano is actually a Greeley native as well. He grew up in Greeley. He went out to Nebraska and then came back. He was high school teammates with Andrew Lirez. So you look at Colorado, there's a lot of talent out of Colorado in this tournament this weekend. Jet Strickenberger is a Colorado guy, Colton Schultz at heavyweight, obviously Alirez and Serrano at Northern Colorado. There's a lot of guys out of that state that have performed extremely well this season, and I think that's probably going to be that's a Jason Bryant special come NCAA's. I'm sure he'll be talking about that a lot. But yeah, Dom Serrano definitely a guy who you could kind of see it last year. He was coming along, but this year he really exploded on the scene. He's had a great season, and it's really fun to see him get that 2 seed. Northern Colorado is doing great things.
Yeah, they are. And I'm looking over here at the number 7 seed Cardinal. We did not duel. Okie State did duel South Dakota State this year too. So you got to remember they got a couple of transfers too at 57 and 97 as well. I mean, obviously I know we'll get to that later, but Cardinal's pretty slick itself.
Yeah, we'll definitely. South Dakota State's got a good chance to place pretty high in this thing, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Just looking at this other side of the bracket, I feel like Farber, Belton, Cardinal, Serrano, and even Klebo. I feel like they're all really on the same kind of level. So I could see pretty much anybody on this side making the finals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Julian Klebo, he's someone who hasn't had the greatest year, but he's a really good wrestler. He's a funky, not really a traditional put your hands on you, shoot a single leg, but he's gonna be a tough out for anybody. He's even someone who was up at one point by I think 6 or 7 points on the number 1 seed in Vegas this year, and then Frost ended up coming back and getting a turn I think in a couple turns in the third period. So he's someone who could definitely blow the bracket up.
Case Mauger, another name to watch at this weight, out of Utah Valley. Yeah, he's very strong, very good at fundamentals. So he'll keep matches close, and it's sometimes those guys come out on top, and especially in tournaments late. And I don't know if he'll win the thing. I don't know if he'll beat Cleveland Belton, but I do think he's a guy who could come up and take a spot. Right, he could come in the top 4 or 5 at this weight for sure. All right, so moving on to 141 pounds. Taking Jameson again. The first three weights get the 4 seed for the Pokes here, and 141 pounds. Very, very tough here in the Big 12. You've got really 6, 7 guys that can be making some noise. Heck, if you throw in your Jordan Tituses of the world and Carter Noble from Air Force, who Tegan Jameson draws in the first round, those are all really talented wrestlers at this weight. And there's no, I mean, Andrea Lira is at the 1 seed is probably the favorite, who Tegan will hit off with in the semifinals if he makes it there. But this is a deep weight class that has a lot of landmines in it.
Yeah, really deep weight. Taken he drew the 4 seed, so they'll have a tough match first round, and then most likely see Moshe Schwartz second match. Someone who he I think wrestled really good against in the duel this year. Kind of handled, especially for someone who's kind of funky like Moshe is. And then I'm really looking forward to seeing Tegan go up against Andrew. I think that he matches up pretty well against him. Tegan someone who's just so strong. He's gonna be hard to snap and just get through. And that's kind of Andrew's game. He's really good at getting through shots and getting up and through guys, and that's gonna be tough to do against Tegan. So it's a match that I'm definitely interested in watching.
Yeah, it's speaking of landmines, like I said, Alirez, Frost, the twins been wrestling well, and you got old Happel down there just doing his thing, man. I'm also interested, I tell you what, in this Schwartz and Titus matchup from Jump Street, and I got to give Jordan Titus a lot of credit. When they came to dual OSU, he wrestled Tegan tough, and at one point, I mean, he was kind of controlling the tempo there for a little while in that match. I know he got beat by Schwartz the night before, and this is going to be one of those toss-up matches because I think Titus was winning that match, and Schwartz kind of pulled one of his old, them old scrambling bad boys on him and ended up beating him there. So that'll be a good one. But, Tegan is Tegan, man. That dude is extremely methodical on how he approaches it. And prime example, like in the Iowa duel, I think he shot 3 times, scored 3 times. So his percentage rate is extremely high. Dude's got to be crazy strong. Daton, I know you can attest to this. Like the guy gets his finger on your leg, he gets them bad boys locked. It's a wrap. And he's been moving his hands and feet a lot better this year. But like I said, this is a bracket here that a lot of these guys could, there's a lot of AAs in here. And I'm gonna throw out Elijah Griffin down here from Cal Baptist. Obviously, he wrestled 25 last year and almost blew up that bracket by beating Sertain first match. And, I know his record is 9-4, but this kid lives for this postseason, to put what Daton was talking about earlier. So, there's some of these guys you just can't count out. And especially a lot of these guys haven't wrestled any of the Cal Baptist guys either, but Elijah definitely made some noise last year for sure. At Big 12.
Eli Griff,
Eli.
I joke over on the other podcast, the Pin 12 podcast, about having a bit of a Jim Cramer like Mad Money reverse curse. If you put money where I'm not putting money, then you're probably going to end up all right. Because I was high on Eli Griffin, man, for the last couple of years, and just plagued by injury. So I've tried to not say anything about him. That he can reverse that and get where he needs to be, because he's definitely a guy that is dangerous. I mean, at 141, he's been wrestling pretty well, and he's somebody that coming home to Oklahoma could make some big noise there. And to
Eli's definitely tough. He's definitely tough. And real quick, so here's another matchup I'm looking forward to. Frost and Edmond.
Mm-hmm.
I think that score was 9-8 Frost when they dueled. So I'm expecting Edmond to come out with that blast double and try to put his head in his face, basically. So, I mean, Daton, he tried that with you. As soon as that whistle blew, you bumped up and wrestled him.
He about got it too. It was close. He about got it. I don't know how I got out of it, but somehow I did. He's definitely someone that can blow you off your feet if you're not ready for it. So, and he's someone that he's someone that I can see him making finals too. Him, Frost, and Happel. They're they're all three really close to, I think each other in skill wise. So they're that bottom of the bracket. Those three guys are the guys that I'm looking at to see who's going to come out and make the finals.
That's for sure.
I think we've all got the semifinals circle though. Andrew Lirez and Tegan Jameson. That's a top 5 battle, and it's interesting that it's happening in the semifinals of this tournament. Jameson didn't do any favors with his trip to Iowa there against Happel and Frost, but hey, end of the day, this is a guy you're going to have to beat if you want to be on the big stage on Saturday at NCAA's. Then you got to beat Andrew Lirez, and that's just true for everybody in the bracket. So really excited to see that one.
Yeah.
140. Go ahead.
One other thing I'm going to say, Lirez hasn't really been tested this year, and there's something about going through a little bit of adversity through the year, and he just hasn't, with his schedule, he hasn't had the opportunity to get tested very much. So it'll be interesting to see what happens the first time he is really going up against someone like a top 5 guy like Tegan.
Okay.
149 pounds. Bit of a storyline here. It might be an understatement for the Pokes, as you have inserted Teague Travis into the lineup for the postseason. Teague suffered an injury back in November and kind of assumed, okay, he's going to be out for the season. Try to get that medical red shirt and then insert Caleb Fish into the lineup, and Teague will be back next year at 157 pounds. But it sounds like he is good to go, got cleared to wrestle, got down to 149 pounds for a few weeks now. And they decided that this was going to be the best path forward for the team. So they decided to replace Carter Young with Teague Travis. I got a call yesterday that was hey, just so you're in the loop, we had Carter at the 5 seed, and then the Big 12 official hit a timeout and said, hey, Carter's not their entry at 149 pounds. So it was a shock for kind of everybody, it seems. Hey, this is part of the sport. T clearly won the spot. This is what the coaching staff thinks is the best moving forward. And I think that looking at his draw, T. Travis has an awesome opportunity to go make a massive wave in this bracket, and he's going to need to. He's going to, because of Carter being out and because of Vasquez at Arizona State being out, the Big 12 loses 2 of its allocations for the national tournament. So you're going to have to come in the top 4 to earn a bid for the NCAA tournament in this one.
Yeah, I think that Teague has a great draw. He's going to have a pretty tough match first match, and it'll just be interesting to see how he does. Down 49, still hasn't wrestled a real in competition match down to 49 in a couple of years. So it's a big move to pull for sure, and obviously they think that's what's best for the team, to give them the best opportunity to score points at the Big 12 tournament and at nationals. So I'm looking forward to Teague. I'm excited for Teague. Obviously, I feel for Carter too. But he's a team guy. As he was in the room this morning, rolling around with Reese. So he's just the epitome of a team guy. So that's it's awesome to have those kind of guys on the team.
Yep, for sure. And I think even Jordan Williams spoke to the character of Carter Young after that post, after they wrestled in Little Rock, right? So that speaks volumes for that young man on the mat and off the mat. Is just a good dude. And this is one of those things that we got to remember. Teague wrestled 41, 49. First duel last year was at 49, and then he wrestled 57 the rest of the year and went, had a really good season, beat a lot of ranked guys, went 2-2 at NCAAs at 157. So to Daton's point, back down to 149, which is his really probably natural weight out here scrapping. So it's going to be interesting to see, kind of like what Daton said, it's just a different atmosphere, obviously, from the practice room to the wrestling mat and fans and your nerves and your anxieties and all of that stuff, and how you go about controlling that that process for someone that's coming in 1-1, right? I'd be remiss also not to sit here and talk about Rhea Butu up top, which that dude has earned that number 1 seed. Like, he has really earned that seed. I know we all probably watched that match with him and Pinero, and, say what you want to say about the refs, but that dude put himself back in the match and end up getting that done. Willow Shell's extremely dangerous on the mat, scrambling wise. I probably need to do some more research, obviously, on the guy that T's got to wrestle, Paul Kelly, first off. But, it's one of those things. And, just like all these guys, somebody's trying to make noise and somebody's trying to blow up the bracket and get their ticket stamped to NCAAs at the end of March or middle of March. Don't say end of March, middle of March. You'll miss it.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think T he's in a perfect spot in the bracket. I think that he's probably gonna have McDougal second match, and he's someone that likes to keep matches close. And T, he's fine in those type of matches. He's someone that likes to kind of wear you down throughout the match. He's just got to be ready for a shot from space. That's kind of McDougal's thing. He's gonna play the edge, back up a little bit, and try to sting you kind of at the end of the match. So just be ready for that. And then I see a scenario where T can definitely make the semifinals of this tournament, which would be great for the Cowboys. And then he'll definitely have his hands full with Pinero, but there's no reason he can't be in that match as well.
The playbook on Pinero is definitely outlasting. That's what Real Beto did, and just kept attacking, which you and I guys are always going to do. That's just their style. And he wore down Johnson there in the third period, and that's been the playbook on him. He's been a lot better at it this year, but I'm very confident in T. Travis's gas tank. He's a guy that you have to force off the mat, right? So I don't think that's if he can keep the score close and get to his offense ultimately as well. I mean, we've seen T go out and score big points and get big moves against top guys at 157 pounds as an undersized 157 pounder last year. So I think that he's got a great opportunity to go out and make a run to the finals. Hey, you beat Pinero Johnson, you're in, right? And this guy that he's wrestling against, Paul Kelly from Cal Baptist, true freshman, has had an excellent season. But against guys like T. Travis, he's given up a lot of points, and seems to have true freshman struggles where he'll go out and get a big win, but a lot of times, which makes him dangerous in the first round, but a lot of times he struggles with keeping guys off his legs and struggles on bottom, like most freshmen do. So it's going to be a great opportunity here. I think we're all just excited to see how Teague performs coming off of this injury and having the opportunity to go become a guy that we all talk about for a long time, right? Like, you go win this tournament or you go make the finals and you make a run at NCAAs, and that's some legendary status stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, 157 pounds, the 2 seed, Caleb Fish. Bit of a surprise here, I think. I mean, he earned it. You beat Ryder Downey, you beat the rest of the guys in the bracket here, but it still just kind of felt like you're toying with a 3-4 seed at 157 pounds if you're Caleb Fish. But he earned the 2 seed. That win over Ryder Downey in the UNI duel definitely helped him out a lot, and he's got a first round bye where he'll take on the winner of James Conway of Missouri and Michael Kilich of Arizona State. Yeah,
more than likely going to see Conway, who actually has a win over the number 1 seed Cody Chittum. So definitely not an easy first round match, but I see Fish getting through that match. Been meeting with probably Downey in the semis, which we got to see that match in the duel, and it was a real tough match, and it's going to be the same type of match if they end up hitting again.
Yeah, to your point, Daton, right? I think it was if I recall, Caleb took him down with probably 10 seconds left with a little slide by, if I'm not mistaken, against Conway. And I tell you what, Chittum's looked awesome. I think the plan was probably to redshirt him this season, but with the injuries that the Cyclones had, they end up pulling him out of redshirt. And man, he's looked really, really good. And I think that's one thing that gave Caleb that second seed is Chittum. Caleb beating Conway, and obviously I think the main one was beating Ryder Downing. There's a lot of these guys that are ranked. Some of them are ranked higher nationally than their seed throughout the bracket from many different schools. So I'm interested in that. And I'll tell you another one that I'm also keeping my eye on in this bracket is Mr. Old School Jared Hill from Wyoming. That dude knows how to win close matches. He don't mind close matches. If you guys recall, Zerbin was the number 2 ranked guy in the nation last year, and Jared beat him first round, might have been second round. He might have had a bye, second round at Big 12s, but he had another overtime win against Zerbin this year when they dueled. Like, dude is he's consistent there, right? He knows how to win those close matches. And this is one of those transfers that we talked about, Sieber from South Dakota State that came from Iowa. Matter of fact, G wrestled that dude, didn't he? Daton? Sieber?
Yeah, he wrestled him in the
duel. Yeah, a couple years ago. So, it's a tough one, man. And Fish was super duper close to taking down Chittum in that Iowa State OSU duel as well. So, these guys got to be on their A game because a lot of these matches are anywhere 1, 2, 3 point matches. And, this is where sometimes your mistakes get amplified or if you make them at the wrong time, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a fun one to watch from top to bottom.
Some would say that if your knuckles are white, that's beyond reaction time. So I think he did take Chittum down in that Iowa State duel. Unfortunately, the rest just didn't agree with us on that one. So I know you can't comment on that, Hardell. So that's okay.
Hey, I hope they don't find me. I got a couple of bucks in my pocket.
We'll keep you out of that position. So great stuff here for Caleb Fish, though. I'm really, he's a guy, we've been talking about it all year. If he's a guy that you can get up on the podium come Philadelphia, then that is a massive proof of concept on the development that you can do if you come to Oklahoma State. At Michigan State, he's been close a couple times, but just not able to get over that hump. And now's the time for him to, this is his last chance. It's time for him to get over that hump and make it up onto the podium. And I think he's in the excellent opportunity to do that, especially if you go win this tournament. You're looking at a 5-6 seed at nationals, and you'll be in really good shape.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, 165 pounds. You've got Cam Amin with the 3 seed, as expected, with his losses to the 1 and 2 seed Terrell Baracall and Peyton Hall. He is on the same side of the bracket as Peyton Hall, so that's probably the anticipated semifinal. Although he is going to have a bye and likely get matched up with one of his only other losses on the season, Nico Ruiz of Arizona State, at the 6th seed. Is going to be sitting there in the quarterfinals, looking to go 2-0 against Cam Amin in the season.
Yeah, Cam, not the easiest draw, but Cam's he's just a tough kid, and he's going to be in every match. Thankfully he seems to be like he's healthy. He's not, obviously nobody's 100%, but he had a little scare in the Iowa duel, but I think he's feeling really good now. And he's excited. He's had good energy in the room. He's just a really good leader. He's a good leader, good team guy, and I'm excited to watch him. He's always kind of tends to show up in the postseason. The last couple of years, obviously he didn't All-American last year, but the couple of years before that, he's always wrestled really well in March. So I expect him to wrestle well this week.
Yeah, I'm interested in this bottom half. I look at it. You even got an old O State boy up in there, Mr. Manaball for Cal Baptist down there. Got Peyton first round. Obviously Amin and Ruiz, which you talked about, which I'm not gonna say stung Cam on that one because he really out wrestled Cam in that duel. In that match, he really, really did. So, he's going to have to be locked and loaded from word go because, like you said, he's got to bye first round and then wrestling the winner out of Ruiz or Fowler. You got Peyton Hall down there that's beat him twice this year. And then up at the top, obviously, Bear Claws had just one heck of a run this whole season, with only one loss. And I think that was super duper early. So it's another tough weight. A lot of nationally ranked guys. I think, Peyton was two or three at one point in time. Bear Claw's been up there. These guys have been in the top 10 pretty much consistently all year. So it's going to be a fun one to definitely watch for sure.
Yeah, the one guy that I'm keeping my eye on would probably be the 5 seed Cam Steed. He's someone that's pretty electric to watch.
Yes.
He's someone that'll go out there and pin you. He had a big lead on Peyton Hall in the duel, and Peyton Hall kind of climbed his way back and ended up winning that match. But Cam Steed, he's someone that could definitely go on a run and upset a couple guys.
Yeah, and I tell you what, watching Steed and Amin wrestle, they're very, very similar. But for Steed to be a 57-pounder when he got to college and is 65 now, that dude is big, man. He is a good size 65-pounder, long, lanky type of guy. But yeah, to your point, Daton, he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on in this bracket as well.
This is Cam Amin's time of year too. If you look back at his career at Michigan, he almost always put up a weird loss somewhere along the way, or multiple in the case of his sophomore year. He still came in 6th place in those 2 seasons. Last year, he lost in the blood round to Isaac Olenek, and it's definitely the time of year that he seems to turn things on. He lives to perform in March, and if he's out there wrestling, I mean, this is the time that he's going to be looking to knock off your Peyton Halls, your Terrell Bear Claws. It's definitely exciting to see what he's going to do and accomplish. I think Cam Steed, also a guy that is really exciting. I mean, he certainly has a good opportunity here to make a big run. Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of exciting storylines at 165 pounds, like there always is. I mean, it's just consistently one of the most exciting weight classes. I think just depth kind of conglomerates here because it's just the size of an average American male, right? So a lot of guys end up here that are really talented, and it's just always a really fun bracket to keep an eye on. So Aiden Riggins, another. Excuse me. I'm moving on to 174. MJ Daton is the guy who won it for Iowa State last year, basically, with all of his bonus point wins in the tournament. But
oh man, he was killing them on the backside. I think that dude pinned like 3 dudes in a row, man.
Yeah. He had a great run that seriously put Iowa State on top in the team race. So he's back this season at 174 pounds, and he's going to be sitting on the bottom of the bracket. The Pokes have DJ Hamady at the 1 seed at the top, 19-0 on the season, and he is basically on a collision course with the 2 seed Keegan O'Toole, the match we've been waiting for all year, really for multiple years now. At this point, these two have seemed to be on a destiny path to hit each other and wrestle. Hamady, of course, was at Wisconsin, which is where Keegan O'Toole is from. I don't know if they ever wrestled somehow along the way there, and I think that people are really anticipating this matchup with O'Toole hopefully being healthy, and it could be another situation where this is a national finals match.
Yeah, for sure. If there's one match that I'm looking forward to in this tournament, it'd be, Hamady and O'Toole. It's just a really intriguing matchup. Hamady's so good at getting to legs, and O'Toole's really good at scrambling. So it could be a really just entertaining match to watch. Obviously there's a lot of matches to go to get to that point. So you never want to look too far ahead, but I see these 2 guys making the finals and put on a show for the fans in Tulsa.
Yeah, price of admission here is this one's big.
Price of admission, aka Flow Like Water, is Mr. Hamidy's alias, man, because that dude he is that. And to your point, Lee, they wrestled when they were sophomores in high school. And the only reason I know that, I talked to him earlier doing one of these interviews. So he's 0-1 against Keegan. They wrestled when they were sophomores in high school. Never met up in any little league or anything like that, But yeah, looking through this, you got Keegan down there at the bottom. At the 2 seed, 2-time national champion. You got Hamity up at the top. You got DeVos in there as well. And then you got sneaky Jared Sima, which probably should have been in the semis last year, but kind of just, let the match slip out of his hands there. I know Hamity put it on him pretty good when they dueled him. And then also you still got Mr. Consistent there, right? A returning All-American and DeVos at the 5 seed. So that's another guy that you obviously cannot sleep on. Here you got Sachs as the 3 seed. So, if it all works out, these guys meet in the finals, like it's almost going to be remember everybody was looking forward to Carr and Keegan last year, right? They made that the last match. Like, this would almost be another similar situation if they both get to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, 174 is definitely one that it's. Gosh, you can't say enough about that potential matchup. But yeah, Saxon here has been wrestling really well. He gave Hamity probably his toughest match of the year to this point. You've got some real sleepers like Jack Ganos from Air Force in there. Aiden Ricks McElhaney in Northern Colorado is an interesting guy. And then, of course, MJ Gaitan, the bonus point machine, hero for the Cyclones last season. Is going to be sitting there as well, doing damage on the backside. A lot of these guys. So,
and it's wild. Also remember Gaitan beat Sachs this year too. So you got Sachs as a 3 seed, Gaitan as a 7 seed. Like as they say, that's why you got to wrestle the matches.
Definitely. 184 pounds. We're probably looking at another collision course type of situation. Parker Keckeisen and Dustin Plott. It feels like round 100. Between these two, but they both got to get there first. There's some interesting obstacles along the way, particularly for Plott. I know Bennett Berge is going to be looking to kind of do the same thing that Plott's going to be looking to do to Keckeisen, is finally get one over on Dustin Plott. Berge has come close a couple times, has been up big a couple times, and just as Plott's found ways to dig out a win. So if that's the semifinals, that's definitely not an easy out for Dustin Plott. But I know that he's going to be focused to go get a chance at Parker Keckeisen again and see if they can come out on top. And just in one of these, you're probably going to get 2 more shots at the guy. So let's figure out a way to get one over on him.
Yeah, that match between Plott, Berge, and the duel last year was really close. I think Berge was up he had a couple takedowns early in the match, and then Plott, I think, needed two takedowns in the third period to send it to overtime, and then got a takedown in overtime as well. So definitely a match that is going to be interesting. And they didn't get to hit this year because obviously Oklahoma State didn't duel South Dakota State. So looking forward to that match. And then obviously that Keckeisen it's been a big obstacle for Plott, but it's hard to beat someone as good as Plott that many times in a row. Eventually, Plott's going to figure something out. And why not in March? That's the best time to win anyway. So I still have full belief that the Dustin Plott can get the job done.
Yep. And Keckeisen doing what Keckeisen does, man. Dude knows how to wrestle in all types of situations, knows how to reset his mind and his focus out there when he's scrapping. And to your point, Dayton, talking about the 2 and 3, that Berge can go, man. That Berge can attack both sides of the body. He's good in all positions. And, like I said, Plott had to dig deep last year to go get a couple of those takedowns and get the right out, take him in overtime, and then took him down there. So that'll be one that I think everybody's looking for in the semifinals. And I'm pretty sure D Plott will be focused one match at a time, but trying to get there as well. And then trying to, take out his nemesis in Keckeisen, because, that's the one that you got to get, obviously, to try to get first place here at the Big 12 and then move forward into NCAAs. But, if Berge and Plott meet up in the semis, that's going to be – those dudes wrestle. And that, to your point last time, I think I don't know what the exact score was, but to get 2 takedowns to tie it up, it was up there in the 9-8 range, 9-9 range would be my be my guess.
For sure.
It went to sudden victory. So yeah, 9-6.
Victory. Yep, 9-6.
Final
Okay.
score there.
And you got Colton Hawks he's in there too. You know, I know he's coming back off of injury. I think him and Keegan got to wrestle their last home duel. You know, he's in there as well. He was ranked higher last year, but I know he's kind of been banged up this year as well. So that's another guy that's in there as well.
Yeah, and Evan Botman, you know, is a guy that is down at 184 from 197. He wrestled in for Utah Valley. He wrestled in several of these tournaments and usually found a way to place and qualify for NCAAs. And really tough wrestler, really good Greco wrestler. I think he's going to be a guy that we're going to be talking about on the Greco scene in the coming years, but especially now that he's at Iowa State and has some good resources behind him up there with the Cuban wrestlers. So I think that he's somebody that's, you know, definitely threat to come in third place. I don't see him getting past. I don't see him or Hawks getting past Keckeisen. God, that guy's just, like I've said a million times, just seems so unpleasant to be on the mat with. Just that constant, just in your face forward motion, just he's coming. And man, it doesn't seem. It seems like no matter what you throw at him, he's got an answer for it. And if you slow it down, he's going to speed it up. If you speed it up, he's going to slow it down. And it's just, man, he's a great wrestler. I'm going to enjoy watching both these Plot and Keckeisen here over these next few weeks. Those two guys are just top-notch competitors for sure. So
no doubt, brother.
197, Luke Serber got the 1 seed. So really, really good season for Luke Serber to this point. Obviously, only having 2 losses on the board. He avenged one of them. And he wrestled great in conference. He beat a lot of these guys that he's going to have to face off against. The 2 young guys who are the biggest threat are on the bottom side of the bracket with Joey Novak and Wyatt Vulgar. I guess I need to stop calling them young guys because I think they're juniors and redshirt sophomores now. But they're going to be on a path to the semifinals. That's going to be one to watch. But Serber going to be on the top. Definitely has some interesting matches along the way. You're looking at most likely Bradley Hill coming out of that first round matchup with Cale Binney of Utah Valley. Hill, obviously, the transfer from Iowa at OU, hasn't had a great season, still talented. And then on the other side of that, you've got Ian Bush of West Virginia, Jesse Cassat from Missouri, and Zach Glazier of South Dakota State. Glazier, as you mentioned, Hardell, a transfer from Iowa that's been at South Dakota State, been performing pretty well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, Luke has a chance to knock off a couple old Hawkeyes, so that's always fun for the Cowboys. And you know, I think, you know, Luke's, you know, he obviously the last time out he didn't have the match that he wanted, so I expect him to be just excited and ready to go for the postseason. He's wrestling, you know, I still think the best that he's wrestled in his career. And I expect him to go out there and have fun this tournament and at nationals as well.
Yeah, no doubt. He's very familiar with all these guys on his side of the bracket, right? Whether it's Bradley Hill in the second round, and then like I said, Glacier, you know, beat him in overtime last year at the duel in GIA. So he's familiar with all these guys, and like I said, he's already had a great match with Volker, had a great match with Novak, another long, lanky, scrambling type of guy. You know, Luke's obviously got those abilities to do that as well, you know, but I think where he's improved definitely this year is just his offensive attacks and able to get to a leg and go score. We all know he can scramble extremely well, but now he's able to get to those attacks and make those adjustments and trying other ways to put points on the board off of his attack. So that's been a plus for him. So this bottom side is going to be fun to watch as well. Like I said, with those 2 guys, Novak and Volker, they like to go put some points on the board too. Big dudes at 197, man.
Yeah, if he's going to win another matchup against Volker or Novak, he's going to need to create his own offense for sure, because those guys have wrestled Luke now several times. They know what he's going to be doing. They've made those mistakes where they tried to get their offense going, and Luke caught him, and one on scrambles, one on rideouts, and they're going to be conservative. And the finals, especially, they're going to be locked up in the finals, and Luke's going to need to go out and create. I'm get there first. Obviously, we can do this. We can put carts ahead of horses as fans. But for him, it's definitely, you said it early in the year, Dayton, and you just said it, Hardell. Creating his own offense is definitely a difference maker for Luke Serber. And he's been proving it. Just a few more matches, right?
Yep.
Then heavyweight, you've got the most electric guy in college wrestling right now, Wyatt Hendrickson. Probably going to go out there and do Wyatt Hendrickson things. I just don't anticipate running into much resistance along the way here until you hit the finals. Most likely against Colton Schultz, who, again, I don't really see a ton of resistance between him and the finals in this one either. Colton, we saw it in the duel. Hendrickson got up big on him and kind of took himself down at the end and gave Colton the regular decision. But it's definitely a fun matchup there between those two guys, just being at the talent level that they are. But Wyatt Hendrickson, just different beast right now.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about Wyatt. He's wrestled unreal all year, and I don't expect anything to change. He's gonna go out there and look to put 10, 12 points up in that first period, and then somehow get the guy on his back and pin him. And it's been really impressive to watch all year. I'm just gonna really enjoy these last couple of times we can see him in the orange singlet.
Yeah, that dude definitely goes out and tries to put points on the board. You are exactly correct, Dayton. I like the way you said he takes them down, then somehow, some way find them on their back and ends up pinning them. And that's all has to do with his attitude, man. That dude has been looking for falls, I think, since he was a freshman in college for sure. And he's definitely gotten bigger, stronger, and better at it. No doubt, and to your point, Lee, how you were talking about him and Schultz, one of the things he talked about in one of his interviews was just how when he shot that blast double, like it was his momentum that really gave up that last takedown. So he said he's, got to make some of those adjustments in there as well. Because Colton, we know as well, is really, really, really good in the upper body situations. But without anything crazy, it should be them two in the finals here for the Big 12 title on Sunday night.
I would say keep an eye on Daniel Herrera of Iowa State. He's come along really, really strong here at the end of the year. He's had some really close matches. He picked up a win over Lance Runyon in the UNI Iowa State duel. True freshman, that's tough. To be a true freshman and wrestle heavyweight is extremely hard. He's stepped into every challenge that he's had and performed really well, lone exception being really to Wyatt Hendrickson. So I think that you really, and that's no fault to him really on that. It's just why it's going to punish you for stepping on the mat against him. So I think that Herrera is somebody that you need to watch as a guy who could sneak up and come in third in this bracket for sure. And might be able to give Colton Schultz a tough match. He lost 3-0 against him in the Arizona State Iowa State duel, which is Colton Schultz isn't, he's fine winning 3-0. He kind of likes that, right? But it could be interesting with that guy. I think he's the only real landmine in here if we're looking at the rest of the guys in the bracket at heavyweight.
Yeah, there's no for sure things in college wrestling, but Wyatt Hendrickson, he's pretty much Oklahoma State's one for sure guy that we have. We could say that he's probably going to win. So it just brings up an interesting question. If we're going to be able to win this team title, it's going to be, obviously it'd be great to somehow put 5 guys in the finals and win all 5, even 6, 7. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to predict we're all going to win, but being realistic, that's not always going to happen. But so I think that if Oklahoma State's going to win this thing, it's going to be off of bonus points and guys coming back through on the backside whenever, they're not going to get what they really want. Obviously all 10 of our guys want to win the Big 12 tournament, and I think that they all can. But and it's not always easy to come back and lace them back up and come back and get third. But I think that it'll be really important for those guys that if they do drop a match, that they think about the team and go out and wrestle for the team and bring back that team title back to Stillwater.
It's gonna be fun to watch, man. Like I said, I'm extremely blessed and honored to be down there and covering the whole Big 12 tournament and adding Arizona State in this year, and the whole nine still back in Tulsa at the BOK Center, so a place that we're all familiar with. So it's going to be some fireworks, going to be a lot of fun, and going to be a lot of hooting and hollering. So I'm definitely looking forward to it on Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, the team race is a little bit tighter than anticipated. Northern Iowa is certainly sitting right there. If you look at seeds and projected points based off of seed, which is iffy, but it's what we have. Oklahoma State's looking to score 143 points. Northern Iowa 135.5. Iowa State 117.5, and South Dakota State 89.5. So a bit of a tighter team race than you may have thought looking at rankings and things like that. Northern Iowa is going to be making a big push to go make that happen. They've got several guys who can win their weight between 41, 49, 57, 84, obviously. Heck, they've got guys who can make big noise at 97 and heavyweight too. So I think that UNI, gosh, in 33, man, basically every single weight for UNI is tough. So they're going to be pushing Oklahoma State for sure. So definitely anticipate the upper weights for Oklahoma State doing their thing, scoring bonus points whenever possible. Troy Spratley doing his thing, and then the rest of the guys just going out and finding ways to win. Teague Travis needs to come in the top 4 to get a spot at the NCAAs, and Reese Whitcraft, so I'm expecting something wild from him at some point along the road. So gonna be fun. Hardell, really excited to hear you on the call again. Excited to hear your thoughts from the mat as well. So it's going to be a really exciting weekend, and we hope to see the Pokes out on top. And regardless, it's going to be great wrestling on ESPN Plus until the finals are going to be on Big ESPN.
Yes, I think it's Big ESPN, maybe ESPNU. Okay. I could be wrong. I think I looked yesterday, and I think it said ESPNU, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that.
Well, you'll find it. It's on national TV. So
here you go.
Somewhere on the mothership there. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And gosh, I just feel really fortunate to be able to talk about this thing with you guys. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. We appreciate it, Lee.